Welcome to the Can Innovate podcast. We focus on providing you with timeless professional development secrets and essential business life skills in a mini bite-sized format. I'm unlocking the vault and sharing best practices that management consultants have been using for decades. We're unapologetically curious. Enjoy. Today's episode is about secrets of strong women. I mean, I know it's around the International Women's Day, but to be fair, isn't every day a happy Women's Day? And here's why. Because we choose our mindsets every day. Every morning when I'm in the shower, I'm thinking about the day and how to conquer it. I'm not thinking about how it's going to be a struggle. I'm not thinking about all the things I did not achieve the day before. I'm actually thinking about all the things that I did accomplish. I look at all the opportunities in front of me and I decide where I want to spend more time on and what I want to spend less time on. Like literally, I'm doing this in the shower. That, in a day I've got all these activities and I'm like, oh, what would I like to spend more time on? And what would I like to spend least time on? And that is what a lot of successful, strong women actually do. One of the big things that I find, when it comes to the work world and everything else is that women get a bad rap quite a bit because they'll say that when we tend to be a little bit more, how do they term it? Bossy or way too aggressive or, and so on. Now, we have to understand that there is a big difference between being aggressive and assertive in business. And women always get the bad rap and it's not such a positive name. Now, it's the difference is how we use our assertiveness. Now, being assertive means speaking on facts with a desired end goal in mind. Everyone's aligned up to where we need to get to, how we're going to get there. And assertive women know exactly what needs to be done and how to really get there. Now, if you look at the definition of assertiveness, it's really defined as self-assured confidence. No, which is the complete opposite of imposter syndrome, which I recognize. And for those that are going through imposter syndrome, don't worry. It's basically all about self-doubt, and we've all experienced it. And in fact, I did a podcast episode, I think it was 84, and even a blog about how feeling like an imposter is actually a competitive advantage. So I definitely want you to check it out. It's called I'm an Imposter, Let Me Roar. And I've even created a free imposter syndrome cheat sheet so you can overcome that doubt, that self-doubt, because I want you to actually take arms and be more assertive. And let's talk about back to being assertive. Assertiveness is really, again, it's about speaking on facts with actually having a really good vision of where you're going. Now, aggressive is where we all get into trouble. I mean, anyone gets in trouble with this because it's fueled by emotions and someone seen as hostile. So this is where everyone needs to take a kind of 5-10 minutes to take a breath before responding when we get into that angry space that it's all fueled by emotions, because we need to kind of take that emotional intelligence and kind of really harness it in, because it can be quite the roller coaster and it can open up a big can of worms that we did not want to do. So I even wrote a blog about emotional intelligence, how it's quite the roller coaster itself. So you can check that out as well. But anyways, being assertive is really about actual confidence, self-assured confidence. And this is why it's really important that we're going to talk about it, because I want to be able to give you some tips and tools about how you can actually get that. And so I did a lot of research about what are some common traits that strong women have. So here they are. Number one, they've got a vision and there's a plan behind it. Very clear on the direction, very clear on the timelines and the milestones that we're trying to achieve. We know where we're trying to get to. Number two is that we drive things to completion. See, with that vision and the plan behind it, we are driving it. We don't wait. We have already defined the needs of what needs to be done, and we are then figuring out who we need to work with, who we need to actually collaborate with in order to make magic happen. We are so proactive. That is where the big difference is. So we've got a plan and a vision, and then we are driving every milestone to make it happen. Tip number 3 is what I found was really interesting was that these strong women tend to be list makers. Crazy, right? Strong women tend to have lists to make sure that things don't get dropped off the list. This actually helps them stay more accountable, much more organized, and still very, very focused of where they're driving to. And this is brilliant because, when you look at what Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary, he always will say that he has on numerous occasions, he loves investing in women startups because he always recoups on his investments, which brings me to part number 4. women are massive risk mitigators. We plan for the worst case scenario. Strong women tend to be very conservative in their planning. We tend to undercommit and over-deliver because we know it's our reputations. So we tend to be ultra-conservative. So this is why Kevin O'Leary loves investing in female startups, because he actually says there's no science behind it, no whatever, but the proof is in the pudding, because he actually gets the money back. Every time he puts money into a female-run business, he always recoups his investments. I've put a link into an article so you can check it out, because I think it's phenomenal. And the reason why is that women tend to be ultra-conservative with their sales forecasts. And so they not only achieve it, they've managed expectations, and most times they actually end up beating it. That's what I love about it. This is what we are doing. The other tip is number 5, time management. Okay, I know it's kind of crazy, right? Strong women really know how to manage their time and make the most of every moment. You know, I don't know if you've heard that timeless saying that if you want something done, give it to a busy person. That's where it's coming from. But Kevin O'Leary was actually putting in his article that if you want something done, give it to a busy mother, because she knows how to kind of prioritize and make it happen. But that's a really huge differentiator about the time management, is that we only have so many hours in a day, and we need to get really crystal clear of where we're trying to get to. And we focus on our minimum viable product each and every time. Number 6. This should not be a surprise, but the 6th big characteristic for successful, strong women are they listen. It's a huge key differentiator, is that women tend to proactively ask for feedback from their inner circle and strangers, because they know the value of getting different viewpoints. And this really helps us mitigate risk, because we'll find out where there could be potential blind spots, and we really try our best to listen, to understand. And this is how we're able to mitigate risk, which goes back to tip number 4 about how we are massive risk mitigators. The 7th tip is about comparisons. Strong women don't compare themselves to somebody else. What we do is we find someone that's killing it in the marketplace, and we learn from those that we actually admire. We look to see what traits and best practices we can adopt, because obviously they've tried it out and tested it, and it's actually making a big difference. So that is a huge differentiator, is that we're not comparing ourselves to make ourselves feel bad. We're comparing to learn about our benchmarks, and then the ones that are actually achieving and beating those benchmarks, we want to learn from them. And by the way, this goes to tip number 8, which is learning. We look at every failure point as a learning point or an opportunity. We're always looking for an opportunity to build new skills, learn a new viewpoint, educate ourselves. It only adds to our confidence and to our vision and our plan, which goes back to point number 1. And in fact, we should take every moment to constantly do a bit of self-reflection, so we can actually be able to make sure that there's something else when we do it again we could actually improve on, because we can end up doing so many things, and sometimes we forget to take that self-reflection. But don't worry, I got another little freebie for you as well. I've got a reflections action review cheat sheet. You could just download, click, and go. So I really want to say that strong women are really phenomenal, and we have all the characteristics, because that's what we're made to be able to do, is that we're much more adaptable. We actually pay attention a little bit more to the environment. We're very much more conservative. We're always risk mitigators. We really are optimistic. And honestly, this is what all of us need to be kind of trying to do every day. Yes, we're going to fail on multiple things, but we're constantly trying to figure out how to learn and adapt and grow from it. So my last words to you is be assertive, be strong, be bold, be courageous, and be unapologetically curious. You've totally got this. Sounds good. I hope to hear from you guys soon. Cheers. Thank you so much for joining and listening to the podcast. If you enjoyed this episode or any other episode, please share with your friends and colleagues. You can share on social media, the email link, the newsletter, and so on. Let's continue to support these Canadian innovators and help them really grow into bigger brands. Awareness and knowledge is totally key. Anyways, I can't wait to talk to you next week. Cheers.